Hello you guys, welcome to my channel All Things Melisha, where I discuss a lot about what's going on in the political world, but also topics that pertain to everyday life in general. If you are a subscriber to my channel, I just want to take this time to say thank you. I really appreciate your support. I try to come on here every week to at least acknowledge you guys. I know I'm not always consistent because I do work, but I definitely appreciate you. If you are new to my channel and any of my topics of discussion interest you, feel free to subscribe. And if any of my videos that I post are liked by you, don't forget to hit the like button for your girl. If you got some thoughts on what I'm saying, leave a comment down below because I want to get your take too. Even if you don't agree with what I'm saying, we can always respectfully agree to disagree, and I can learn something as well. So don't be shy. Let's engage. Hit the like button, leave a comment, share the video, and like I said, if you're not subscribed and you're interested, subscribe. So you guys, we're going into Sunday again, and as you know, Sunday is my favorite day of the week because it is just so chill. And I normally try to come on here and give like a little message or something, a mini Bible study, because like I've shared before, I grew up in the church. My mother was a minister, so that my faith is Christianity, even though I don't always live according to the letter. I don't think it's impossible because, with God, all things are possible. But it is a challenge when you are in this fleshly body to just be strictly by the letter. But overall, I try to treat people right, and I try to pretty much treat people like I want to be treated. Okay, and I know that I'm not perfect. I know that I, have flaws, but at the end of the day, that's what we're all about with this Christianity walk, trying to treat people right and be more Christ-like. So I just instantly got this topic that came up in my mind to speak on, and it comes from the book of Matthew. It's chapter 7, verse 16. It says, "And ye shall know them by their fruit." Now, we live in a day and age where everything is sped up. It's instant gratification. No one really has patience. No one really wants to take their time. They want everything right now, quick, fast, and in a hurry. But one thing that I have learned over the course of my young life is that it is good to take your time. That's with everything. That's especially when getting to know people or when allowing people in your space in your life. It's good to take your time to get to know people because, we used to always be told, especially when you're dating people, that when you first start dating, you're getting their representative. It's not their actual, it's not them. They're putting on their best front so that they can win you. And a lot of times we put on our best face, our best outfit when we first meet a person. And then as time goes on and you get comfortable with the person, some people tend to get relaxed. And it's like you see me in all phases. You see me when my hair is done. You see me when my hair is not done. You see me when I'm dusty. And you see me when I'm up to par, But in this generation, when it comes down to people, a lot of times we don't give ourselves time to actually discern. It takes time to be able to discern people. But you know what? One thing I noticed is the older generation, especially when we used to date back in the days. I don't know if you guys have experienced this or not, but you'll have a grandmother or even your mom sometimes, if you brought say a guy for a girl around or a girl for a guy around your parents to introduce them, they could look at them and in one look they could say, this person is this way. And then you're like, how you know? You don't even know the person. You ain't even been around them, talk to them or nothing. But then as time goes on, it's like the things that they said were actually turned out to be true. And it's like, how in the world do they know this? Because when you live life experiences will show you different signs and things about people that you can pinpoint what they're about before you even get to know them, because you've seen something about them or something. Sometimes it's your intuition, or maybe it's the way that they talk, or some type of discernment you get that lets you know, okay, this is what this is about. And I just find it so interesting that some people have that gift of discernment that before they even get to really engage with a person, they can already see what the person is about. But for the majority of us people, we have to take time to see, to allow a person to talk, and to allow ourselves to talk, to see how they respond, to get to know them and see what they're about. A lot of times, I know when it comes down to relationships, a lot of us are very physical. I know for me, I am highly physical. Like, if I'm not physically attracted, like visually attracted, then a lot of times I'm not really interested in anything else. But and I think that goes for a lot of people, because it has to be something, whether it's a personality or a look, that draws you to a person. But just because a person looks good and just because a person talks good does not mean that that person is good. And the only way you can find out about people is to know them by their fruit, meaning that you have to have patience. It takes time for fruit to produce. Fruit starts off as a seed, and the seed has to first go into the ground and die. I don't know the stages because I remember, I think it was biology class that talked about the different phases that the seed has to go through, but it has to be planted in dirt, and that dirt has to be fertilized and has to be watered and nurtured in order for it to come up and produce. And so a lot of times we see the seed and we say, okay, this is an apple seed, so this is what this is going to be. But that seed is really the production of that seed is based off of the environment that seed is planted in. And I remember, growing up, my mother would say all the time that a person's childhood really does affect their adulthood. And you can look at the childhood as being like your seed, what's being planted in you, whether it's how your parents are teaching you, how you're raised, your siblings, how you're brought up, the different beliefs and structure that you're given. A lot of times what we're taught in childhood, we tend to carry on in adulthood. So if you see children that were abused when they were younger, or whatever, then when they get older, they tend to abuse. When you see children that are given love and attention and affection, when they get older, they tend to give love and affection. So a lot of times what we were planted in as a seed, it results in how we, in the outcome of how we become as an adult. So that's the same thing when getting to know a person. A lot of times, that's why people like to know your background when you start a job. Give me a little bit of your history. Give me a little bit of your skills. Let me know what you're about, because that's how you get to know a person. It's by their seed, their history, where you come from, how were you brought up, what have you been involved in. But like I said, a lot of times in today's culture, people are very visual. They are all about, it's very lustful. And it's kind of, in my opinion, it has plagued society, because you don't see a lot of production. Okay, so say for instance in the Bible, when God said, be fruitful and multiply. Now you see us not being fruitful, and we're divided. Okay, you don't see a lot of marriages. Like back in the days, people used to, it was like a goal in life to get married and to start a family, because families is what build communities. Communities is what build nations. So I remember when President Obama, I always have to mix a little bit of politics, but when President Obama first ran for office, I remember he was spreading the LGBTQ agenda, and he was going over to African nations and imposing it on them. And there was one African president, I don't know if he was the Kenyan president or what, but he was an African president, and he told him, you're welcome over here, but keep your Western philosophy in the West, because over here we believe that, we believe in family, because family, traditional family, man and woman that produces the child, they are what forms communities, and that's what forms nation. And if you don't have that structure, then eventually your nation will no longer be. It'll become extinct, because that's the way that God set it in place, for man and woman to procreate and to produce and to continue to multiply. But getting a little bit off the topic, but it's all correlated, you guys, because it's all about fruit. And like I stated before, you know a person by their fruit, not by what they say, but by what they produce. If you're saying something and what you're saying is coming about, then that's what it is. But if you're saying something and it's not lining up with your actions, then something's not right about that. And that's kind of like a politician. I have to go back into that again, because a lot of times they speak and say, oh, we're going to do this for people, or we're going to get this going. And then when they get the position, it's like nothing happens. So their fruit was unproductive. They were not, their seed was tainted, okay, because they didn't produce any fruit based off of what they were saying. Same thing in general with people, you know. You have to be able to watch and listen and see what they're about, because they'll tell you some things, but then those actions are always going to show you if what they're saying is true or not. And sometimes we can overlook the actions because the words sound so good. Oh, he said this to me. Oh, she said this to me. Or, oh, he touched me like this. Or, oh, she touched me like that. And so based off of just the feeling, then all logic goes out of the air. So this person gives you a good feeling, but you see what they're producing. They produce a good feeling on this side, but then they're giving you stress. But then they're giving you consistent hell, consistent stress, you know, consistent problems. But just because they may make you feel good in this area, you're willing to sacrifice all of the other areas just to have that instant gratification. And in today's society, we know, especially when you get older, that life is more than instant gratification. Okay, we need something long-term that's going to be able to help in all areas, not just in one, you know, or have some form of a balance. Okay, so the way you know a person is by their fruit, what they produce. If you're always talking about God and Christ, but then you out here living like a devil, yeah, your fruit is the devil. Okay, because a lot of people can talk a good talk, but your actions is what's going to show what you are all about. So just wanted to come on here and share that, you guys. That's another way to discern people, is just to give time to get to know a person. Give time, because God tells all, really. God reveals all in time. And God, you know, takes his time with us. He gives us so much space and time to grow and develop. And so we need to practice that same thing. Have patience. You know, give things time to grow and develop. That's the best way to be able to discern. Because when you're quick and you want something real fast, what they used to say, the way you get it is the way you lose it. You get it fast, you lose it fast. You get it slow, and if you lose it, you'll lose it slow. And I know that it's not the same circumstance for everybody, but that is a good way to judge a person's character, is to take time and to get to know them by their fruits. So I hope that made sense to someone out there. For the most part, just wanted to share information on, you know, taking time, getting to know people, being able to discern right from wrong, good, bad, for me, against me. You know, I'm gonna know that by your fruit. If you're telling me you're for me, but then when I need you, I can't get a hold of you majority of the time, or you're not supportive of my goals, or, you know, things like that, then hey, the actions are going to override the words, because your fruit is you didn't show up. The fruit is you're not, you know, there when I need you. So that's the fruit. Okay, the words is the seed, because the word is what's planted in you. But if it doesn't produce anything, meaning it's not backed up by any form of action, then that seed is bad seed. It's falling on bad. It should fall on, you know, stony ground. That's what it should. Well, not stony. You don't want to be bitter, but it should fall by the wayside. Okay, we don't want people wasting our time, wasting our life. You know, so if you know that a person is for you, then by all means keep that person in your life. But if you know that a person is not for you, you can still learn from them type of people too, but you can learn from a distance. And the way you know that is by taking time. So I'm going to wrap it up right here, you guys. I hope you guys have a great Sunday. feel free to share or comment on whatever you know, if you feel interested in sharing your take on what I had to say. Leave a comment down below because I like to read the comments from time to time to get your take as well. But like I said, I hope you guys have a great Sunday and I will see you later.